Welcome to the Hardly Working Podcast, because this week we were working hard and now we are hardly working.
How's it guys? Peter here from COPA Cape Town, and with me I got Sophia, and we're starting this little podcast weekly for you guys, and we're just hoping to share as much as we can between each other.
Yeah, it's just going to be a chill session of us chatting about whatever happened in the week, happenings here at COPA. We're in Cape Town, but we hope that everyone across the country, from Durban to our campuses in Gauteng, are tuning in to listen. I mean, tuning in, it's not a radio show, but, you know, we can dream. We can dream.
One day.
So today we just want to take time to welcome everyone back from our long break. This was a nice long break. I know that we have many new students at COPA who started and were working really hard in the break to catch up. Now it's the ease of the first few weeks, setting back into that rhythm. We'll talk a bit about that, about changes in the industry and whatnot, but I hope you enjoy the listen.
So at the beginning of the podcast, you heard a little jingle that was written by Sophia, and we're in the process of setting up a platform for you guys to write jingles and send it in, so we can every week play a jingle from a student at the beginning and even the end maybe of the podcast. If just general suggestions or questions you have, you want to send in, you can send it into the COPA Instagram, COPA_SA, right?
Yes.
Yeah, COPA_SA. Send us questions, and we'll try our best to answer them.
Yeah, and I mean, this is definitely not a formal lecture or anything like the classes. We want this to be a space where people maybe ask the questions that there aren't time for in class, or maybe subject matters that aren't in our course, or that have something to do with something in the course, or maybe something cool happened in the week. We definitely want to hear stories, especially
gig stories. That's actually quite a cool idea. If you guys have any, I think we'll create a platform maybe where you can write in some gig stories, and we can read the gig stories. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yes. I mean, gigs are now definitely picking up again now that regulations have dropped. It's so nice. We can get back into the rhythm of looking for gigs and setting up
music,
gigs, getting to that music biz.
Let us know if you guys are having any cool shows in Gauteng, and tell us all about it. I've been getting busy again. Unfortunately, it's winter, and we all know in winter we don't gig that much anymore. But hopefully it's going to turn around, and with post-COVID, it's so nice that masks isn't a thing anymore.
Yes.
It's so weird playing a show and you just see masks and stuff.
Unless you're a horn player, in which case you just gave everyone COVID, I guess. Damn trombonists.
COVID is the horn section's fault. Thanks a bunch.
Questions to COPA about music, business, and stuff.
Okay, so we do have two questions that were sent in, and the first one was, remind me again?
Yeah, these questions are nice because they actually have to do with gigging. Our first question was how to begin gigging as a musician and the steps to be professional at it. Thank you for that question.
Okay, that's quite a big one. When do you know you are gig ready? I think that's quite a question.
You kind of have to know where you want to start to gig. I'd say is the big beginner. Like, what kind of music? Where, as in, what part of music do you want to gig in? If you are a DJ, you're going to be looking for DJ gigs. But if you're a bassist who can play 4 chords, you will find a lot of pop gigs. And if you're a jazz musician, you might have to network a bit. But it's just find your the definition of your music, your genre.
Yeah.
First.
But also be open to play maybe something else, especially if it's a well-paying gig. But just to come back to a thing quickly, I think the best place to start is to network, is to get to know people, because the only way you can really get more gigs is the more people you know.
Yeah, go to gigs, actually, yeah. Before you can find gigs.
Yeah, before you play gigs, go to gigs.
Go to a few gigs. Make friends, you know.
Yes.
I realized early in a gigging experience, you have to do a lot of favors. And that might feel very bad because someone might ask you, oh, I need this thing tracked. Could you have Logic, right? And then you say yes, and then they're like, oh, it's just 4 chords. And then you do the whole project and it takes a few hours, and to them it's just a minute track. And then they go, thanks. And you were like, oh wait, this was maybe a gig. But maybe a year down the line, that annoying guitarist that asked that, you will need a guitarist, and then you can say, hey, I did a favor for you. Do a favor for me and help me with my gig. So it's an opportunity when you start a gig. Try to remember who helped you in the past, and the people who you'd want to help you, see if you can help them first. That's a big thing.
Yeah, but also just getting to a point where you understand your own value, and you start asking for money, because to an extent people will also start taking you more seriously.
Yes.
Because it's freebies is like nice and all, but you have to start taking yourself seriously and be like, okay, cool, I want to make a living out of this.
Yeah.
And it's where it gets tough, because then you realize, like, sometimes people they like to use you because you're doing stuff for free, and you maybe lose the work, because it's nice to build up a catalog of recordings or shows and things that you did. And then when you start taking everything seriously, sometimes things will maybe fall away, but maybe even you'll get more permanent work out of something. But just to get back to other point of styles and stylistic and genre-wise, I've done a bunch of shows where I wasn't really, how shall I say it, like massively into the genre I was playing for about, I think it was probably 3-4 years. I played Afrikaans music with a friend of mine, and it's not my favorite genre. I mean, it's just one of those things. Everyone has their...
What a controversial opinion.
But it definitely paid the bill.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to say the cool thing is, but realistically, it was really easy songs to play, which is nice in a sense. The downside is it was 3 to 4 hours a show. So you're standing 3-4 hours on your feet playing, and then you have to set up a PA before that and set it down.
You gotta get fit to gig.
It's my back is feeling it still.
No.
But that all being said, and maybe it's not my favorite style or genre, I made a lot of friends. I had a really great time. Like it was so funny. I mean, because I come out of a rock and roll background where, you know, play a show, you know, you'll play like a metal gig and you'll see a mosh pit and you get used to that. And all of a sudden you're playing a gig and people are socking, you know, it's like, what's going on? But it's also you still get the same effect of these people are enjoying you playing. Yeah. They're enjoying you and your performance, you know, and they are thankful for it. And that alone makes it worth it. You know, and then on top of that, you're getting paid. You're traveling every week into a different part of the country or the province, and you're seeing stuff. You're learning new stuff. So yeah, it's sometimes, if it's worth the people and the money, it's worth the gig.
Yeah, I mean, I typically I have this 3-box tick system that works fairly well for identifying a valuable gig. And this was actually a 3-box system taught to me by in a workshop by a guitarist, Corey Christiansen. He's an American jazz lecturer, and really a legend of a guitarist. And he did this massive workshop on it. And the 3 boxes are that you should either get money from it, so it pays well, or you should get networking from it. So you're maybe playing with a higher musician.
Yeah, you get more shows out of the show.
That raises your quality, you know. If you are playing with a popular or important musician, then that's a name, that's a CV.
Can I quickly make a point of playing with people that are better than you? That's the best way to gauge that's actually a good way to gauge if you're gig ready or
Exactly.
not. Play
Yes.
with people that are better than you, because
Yes.
it's easy for a musician to feel very intimidated or feel like, oh, I'm not worth this gig or anything. But playing with people better than you, and hopefully they're kind about it, they can point to you, okay, you need to work on this, you need to work on this, and you can see what it is like to play on the next level.
Yeah, so those might be the gigs that definitely aren't fun necessarily, because they will push you out of your comfort zone. Or the third box is a fun gig, a fun gig, So, and in that you kind of, if you tick two of those boxes, you get quite a few interesting combinations. So like the Afrikaans gigs that Peter played was maybe they paid well and they were with musicians that you had fun with. They were maybe not challenging.
Yeah.
So 2 out of 3 boxes were ticked. Those are most of your gigs, to be honest. I think the fact that we have LPW and LPP repertoire development helps a lot, because these are the kind of songs that make up your wedding gigs, your 50th birthday gigs, and all of those background gigs. It's definitely good, but you might find a gig where you're not getting paid. It's almost not a gig, but playing opportunities. And I'm specifically thinking to the stuff that we set up here at COPA. You're not getting paid, but maybe you're playing with obviously your peers, and some of them might be better than you are. That's pushing you, and you're having fun because it's COPA.
There was a guy in my class when I was at COPA, in my guitar class. We were always eyeing each other because we were like sort of kind of on the same level. And we will like listen in on it, like each other's exams, and like give each other a little bit of a hard time, But it's good having someone breathing down your neck, because you will end up better because of it. You're gonna push yourself harder. You're gonna like practice more. And yes, I mean, when it gets to art and you get to that point, where it's about the music, not the technicality. But to get to that part, you have to be good in the first place. It's
interesting because it's not necessarily that competitor. It's not a rat race. You're not competing to see what you can do better than that person. I'd approach it as you are competing to see what you can do different from that person. And that's where you find your value. That's where you find your selling point, So, in a long-winded way to answer the question, network, make friends, do favors, turn in favors, ask for favors. Don't be afraid to ask. Last year, I was playing an unpaying gig, and I'm new to Cape Town. I didn't know anyone. And I just asked someone, and he was like, cool, here's your drummer and guitarist as well. And I was like, you don't have to do this. And yet there are kind-hearted musicians out there who understand what it's like to start out. So just be brave, I guess.
Yeah, and even if the gig doesn't go well, I mean, just always try to learn out of what happened. And self-analyze. That's a really important thing.
Yes.
Self-analyze your performance, the band's performance, and it's usually, I mean, you can practice as much as you want, but if there's someone else in the band that didn't do their job, it unfortunately brings everyone else down. That's unfortunately a really difficult thing.
You gotta know your own value and your own standard. Set that standard, chase that standard, and that ties in nice with our second question that we got. How do you set a booking price, and what do you look at in order to do that?
Booking price is a difficult thing, because you have to learn to know your own value, but already a few things that you can keep in mind. So let's take let's even say like a 4-piece band. So you have to start thinking about your own costs when you start asking for a gigging fee. So I'm a guitarist, and what do I need to play a gig? I need cables, I need strings, I need picks, I need an amp, and of course I need a guitar as well. Now all those things cost money. You play piano. I mean, you need a piano, you need a stand, you need a cable.
Need a piano case.
Yeah,
with
you
wheels,
need a piano case.
preferably.
If you're going to be traveling, you need a case to put your instrument in.
You need biceps.
A gym membership.
It's for real. You need to invest.
Yeah. So already you are investing a lot of money into your gear. Okay. So now you're starting investing money in rehearsal. If you're not lucky enough to have your own rehearsal space, you need to hire a rehearsal space. That's usually, I think, like $150 an hour or 2 hours. So now you have to think about that. Then now we're starting with overheads basically. So now you've got your rehearsal time, the time spent rehearsing, and the cost of rehearsing. And I'm still just busy with myself now. Now you've got 3 other members to think about as well. So after rehearsal, you start thinking about petrol. The petrol spent for the rehearsal, and then the petrol spent to the gig and back. And that could be a 2-hour drive. That could be a half an hour drive. And we all know fuel got more expensive, a lot more. So you have to put that in consideration. And then general living costs. Why do we get paid? To buy food, to pay rent, to pay electricity, to pay water. So now we have about 3-4 categories.
You need profit.
You need profit. 3-4 categories of how you can break your price down. So for me, I like to buy strings every month for my guitars, and I have 2 gigging guitars, my acoustic and my electric. I still play bass, but not as much. We all know bass strings are bloody expensive. So like 2 packs of strings, that'll end up $300-400. And if I need to buy a new cable or something and something broke, hopefully that doesn't happen every month. And then if you're going to promote on Facebook or Instagram something,
promotion costs,
promotional costs. If I make the posters for my band, try and maybe to cut down costs, learn to use Photoshop or something, or online program, or templates even, that go really far. Unless you want someone to make yourself a poster, and then you have to pay for that as well. So I would say, look, if you can personally get $1,000 out of a gig, that's a good starting point. People like to use a general 500 for 45 minutes, but it's not enough. It's everything. Like food went up, electricity went up already with like 11 or 12% this past few months, which is crazy. So that's where you have to still understand your own value. And then if those people don't want to pay that money, cut your losses. Just let it go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
If you're going to buckle every time you go to a gig and be underpaid, you're letting them win and letting them get used to undercutting musicians.
Yes.
That's unfortunately one of those things. If you stop and say, like, listen, I'm not going to do this anymore, and hopefully other people do that as well, they're going to realize that, you can't underpay these people. It's still our work. It's just not just pitching up to a gig. When I do my shows at bars, we do our own sound, and we play 2-3 hours. So we're there 2-3 hours beforehand. We play our show, and we're 2-3 hours after that at the show already. We're basically there from like 2-3 the afternoon till like 7-8 at night.
Yes.
It's still spending a lot of time there and entertaining, and it is always like an encore, this or that.
Yeah, time is money.
Literally time is money.
And the drinks at the gig, I think that was a big problem in Pretoria. I don't want to go into the different areas. I think here in Cape Town we're quite lucky. There's a lot of venues that aren't just like bar venues. There's hotels.
There's a lot of restaurants.
It's because of the tourism. It's different down here. Yeah. And I always think about that meme of you're getting paid, because that is Pretoria. it's like Cape Town, the hotel gigs, I only got paid 5,000 rand, and then the bar gigs what, I only got paid 2,500 rand, and then the restaurant gigs I got paid 1,500 rand, and then Pretoria's just you're all getting paid, because I got paid petrol money when I gigged in Pretoria, and it's not always the case, but because you what you get paid you usually spend at the gig. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just when you're done playing, just pack up and leave. Don't stick around for drinks unless it is the time to network. And that for me, I think if you are struggling to break that ceiling of getting a good amount for yourself, don't try to gig alone. Gig with the people
And put your
of
things on silent and
gig with gig with people of a higher value. You know, if you're gigging with someone who is getting paid a lot, you might not get as paid as much as they do at that gig, but it will get your name in, and then people will associate you with a higher value. And thus you can, if you ask a certain amount, they'll be like, yeah, well, of course, because you played with so and so, or at so and so. You know, like just find good opportunities.
Yeah, and then after a while you get to different levels. So I mean, of course, you're going to start out with your bar gig or your little restaurant gig and stuff like that. If, with my experience, if you do a good job, they ask you to do it again.
Yes.
And that's a good thing if you can consistently play at a venue once a month. So then all of a sudden, let's say you have got 3-4 venues you can play once a month each. Now your month, every weekend is filled with a different venue, and then you can repeat that again the next month. Now, okay, cool. Now your Saturdays are down. Now let's see, okay, you fill up your Fridays, you know, and then fill up your Sundays. And the more venues you can play over a month, of course, the better.
Yeah.
There was another point I wanted to make, but I totally forgot about it. But yeah, let's continue.
Yeah, I think it's with the venue thing, it's nice because you have touring musicians, you know. So we have Pretoria musicians playing in Cape Town places, and Cape Town guys playing in Durban places, and so they're all kind of leaving a footprint behind, and then you can go to that guy that came to your local venue. You go to their local venue and name drop them.
Yeah.
I mean, Nomadic Orchestra here, they do that a lot. You know, they jump up and down, and it's always like, oh yeah, we played with this group because they're so diverse. If you're a very diverse band that plays a lot of genres, you leave a footprint at every single venue you're at, and that footprint can be filled by people that know you.
Yeah, it's great, especially if you can build a relationship with a band in another town. You know, you go and play there with them on their home turf, and then you know you can do the same with them for them, and give them shows over here. And because of course someone in another town will know their venues better, then you will know their venues.
Yeah. Open for bands. You know, it's a favor, and it might not. Obviously, it's their EP; they're getting paid, but you're still capitalizing on that.
You can
free marketing.
Always, because I mean, what we actually try to do with shows, I mean, is we cultivate fans. Especially if you're just a cover band and you just want to make a party, okay, cool, you know. But I mean, I think most of us we want to end up as original musicians writing original music, so you have to cultivate fans to follow you. And then hopefully you get to a point where you stop asking money for venues and where you do door deals. And you can ask $100 at the door, and you know there's 40-50 people that are gonna arrive.
And you just it's tickets versus
Then you can start doing ticket sales, and then
merch sales.
Yes,
but that's a whole other subject.
Yeah.
We'll maybe do an entire segment on that.
Yeah, because that's the point I originally wanted to make, because you do your bar gigs, maybe you'll do a door deal with them or a set fee, and then you move up to bigger shows where you start asking tickets, and then hopefully after that you start playing festivals, which is truly a next level. It's a great experience, and everything is just 10 times better. The pay, the sound, the food, the people, that's the ultimate level, I think, to get at. And especially in this country, is festivals, because we got some beautiful festivals.
And they're starting up again, which
and
is
of
amazing.
Course, after COVID, we can actually full to capacity, have 5,000 people yelling in your ears. We all miss that a lot.
Take it from the top, it's Live Performance Workshop.
Okay, cool. So the song of the week for the BCs, you said Jeremy Loops, eh?
Yeah, Better Together by Jeremy Loops.
Is it one of his newest songs?
It is very it's fairly new. I think he did it in collaboration with Ed Sheeran, so it's definitely his most popular. It's one of his most popular tunes. Although Jeremy has really been at it.
Yeah, he's been playing for
a very long time.
I think that's definitely a way to gauge that you made it, is if you
I
wrote
think
a song with Ed
the
Sheeran.
brilliant thing about Jeremy is that he was a trendsetter. Because I don't remember hearing about like loop pedals before Jeremy Loops. obviously I was like a high school student who knew nothing about music. I'm sure the guys in the scene were like, damn, why didn't I think of that?
I mean, there's loop pedals everywhere now.
You know, a bunch of guys with kick drums fisting the air, like, no, that was my thing. But yeah, you know, he's really, really innovative in his layering. And I think there's a large aspect of arranging that can't be underestimated, because he keeps it very simple, but it's vibey. It's like what you're saying about the gigs with people vibing to it. That this is live performance gigs and kind of music. It really, when you listen to it, you get a breather into how the South African music scene sounds, like the festival vibes.
So we had a quick look at the chords of the song. It's a
nice C, G, D, E minor. You know, it's just those 4 chords over and over again. I mean, here and there he breaks a bit, but it lives up to the name. The Jeremy loops his chords. Jeremy loops is such a cool stage name, because I think it captures the verb loops, because that's what he's doing. He's looping, and the thing that became the loop itself, the actual piece, because that's what we use now on GarageBand and Logic and everything.
That's all. Like so much. It's like so many songs are written with
just loops. So and it's so effective. You know, you have the C, G, D, E minor. It's all and G major, of course, if you want to get all analysis. But it sticks around that, and I think starting a song on not the chord 1, because chord 1 would be G and it starts on C, that always makes a song feel like it's moving.
Definitely.
Because if you start on 1, it's like we start the story here, and then the 4 chord would be moving away, and the 5 chord is the climax, and 1 is back home. Where now we're already starting on the road. We're starting with that C, and then it creates a sway, because now it's going C on the strong beat, G on the weaker side of the bar, and then D, which is again very strong kind of moving away chord, and then the D, instead of going back to its 1, it goes to the E minor, so it sways again. And E minor it's such a lovely chord, you know, that 6 chord is like major, 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 minor, you know, it sets such a lovely sway within the music. And when you're looping something, you definitely want an interesting contour, because if it's just 2 chords, your audience is going to get very annoyed very quickly. Or if it's 4 or 5 or 6 chords and they don't make sense, and you're looping that, it actually becomes agitating to listen to.
Yeah, with looping, it's a big responsibility. Your chord progressions are a really big responsibility, because it dictates where you go, and if you're not going anywhere, the loop is not going to work, unfortunately.
Yes.
Just for fun, out of technical standpoint, if you would take this chord progression and I don't know, substitute something or change something up, or how would you go about that? If you're a student now and you want to apply some theory to this chord progression, just to hear what the melody sounds like against the chords, what would you do?
Oh, well, chord substitutions are always fun. I mean, the fact that it has this major, minor thing to it, you can make that D a B minor. Because then because then you're going, and you can make it C going to G, and then it climbs up to B minor, which climbs to E.
That's
so
nice.
It creates. I mean, that's what they do in. If I think G major, I already think about Spandau Ballet's True. That that ha 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 ha. And they do that. They go because it's G to E minor and then B instead of the D.
Yeah, that's cool.
B minor instead of D. It's very interesting because it has most of the notes of D.
Yeah.
Triadically, it's the same.
Yeah, basically.
But because of the root movement, it changes. So I always consider root. If you're thinking of chord substitutions, think what you can do. I mean, we can also go C, G, D, and then D minor to G, and then back to C. If you want to get jazzy and put in a 2-5, like, ooh, now we're getting, like, ooh. But and that will kind of kind of tie into it. Because the C is at the beginning, it makes it a bit tricky, but to make your 4 chord a minor chord also always helps. But I don't think that'll work in this one.
Nice though.
Because it starts, I mean, the Billie Eilish songs do that all the time. And we're doing a Billie Eilish song soon. So we'll definitely Happier Than Ever.
Okay,
and I'm pretty sure that she'll do that in that song because that always has a very kind of sad, very melodramatic, but kind of like, yeah, it's like emo pop, you know, like, are we happy? No, we're sad, you know. So you just gotta play around with the sound that you want.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, I think what'll also maybe be cool is if the students are interested and they want to send in covers of the covers or rearrangements of the song of the week. I think that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just like a little chorus or a little verse, or maybe there's the one line sounded really cool, or you're struggling to practice a line and you practiced it wrong, but it sounded kind of cool. That's how a lot of music gets made. But yeah, please engage with us, and we're looking forward to exploring every song every week.
Yeah.
But this is not a class. It's not an assessment. No one's going to mark it. It's just going to be on the internet for everyone to listen to.
That's even worse.
But yes, thank you for listening. We're out of time now, but enjoy your week, guys. It's Monday, and we'll chat again next week.
Yeah, practice hard and practice well. Take your time.
This is COPA Cape Town signing off.